Well, today's Sunday, it's 7th of April 2024, and it's the day after the night before. More about that in a moment. We've come down with the family to a park. We've not gone to a beach today, and it's a kind of special sort of park here in Palma. It's one of the many parks there are in Palma for children to play on, but this one's a little bit special. It's a little bit special because of the amenities that are here, and a lovely castle for the children to play in there. A few years ago it was actually burnt down. Some hoodlums actually got in and set fire to it, and they thought that would be the end of it. But the council did the job, and they replaced it, and it's just as good, perhaps not as high as it was before. I can't really remember, but it looks good, and there's some shade over there and some little areas for families to sit, have picnics under the trees, and that's what we're planning today. And usually there's a cafe open just up there. Doesn't appear to be open today, so we could be suffering for a lack of cafe con leche. We'll see about that later on. And now just to report on the football. Yes, it was disappointing, but Mallorca played very well, and they defended very well throughout the whole match. All 120 whatever minutes was played, and they managed to score the first goal. So in the first 20 minutes or so, Danny Rodriguez managed just to slot the ball right into the top of the net there, and we were 1-0 up, and that's how it remained at half time. So things were looking pretty promising, but Bilbao had all of the play really, and Mallorca were struggling to keep their pace going. Second half came out, and within 5 minutes Bilbao managed to score, and that made it 1-1, and that's how it stayed to 90 minutes. At the end of the 90 minutes, well, extra time and 15 minutes each way produced no goals. Our manager Aguirre made certain changes. The biggest surprising change that he didn't make was to bring on Abdon Prats, who's one of our top scorers, particularly in the cup rounds, and he didn't get any minutes at all. The crowd apparently were cheering for Abdon to come on, but wasn't to happen. We don't know the reasons. People have been speculating that there were so many niggles and injuries to defensive players that's where the substitutes needed to go. And well, it got to end of time and those dreaded penalties, and well, Bilbao, they were spot on. They scored 4, and Mallorca had one that was completely over the bar and the other one saved, so they lost on penalties. Oh, thank you very much. Cheers. I've got a drink. It's not a cafe con leche, unfortunately. It's a nice cold glass of water. So that's how it happened. How are the fans going to be? Well, I think they've got to be really happy that they managed to get to the final, and they've got to be really happy in the way that they defended. Still lots of questions about our forward attacking system. Just having Mariki on his own up there didn't work at all. He's just a lone star waiting for the ball to come to him. If the ball doesn't come to him, there's no way he can score. Larin had a golden opportunity and fluffed it, and he seems to have done that so many times. Wondering, was that money well spent when we bought him? He was one of our most expensive players. The rest of the team, well, they played the hearts out. There were lots of tears at the end from the players. Really disappointed, and obviously the Bilbao team and the fans were obviously absolutely elated. Our friends who were there, they thought it was quite an occasion, and but they had certain questions to ask as well. How come there were so many Bilbao supporters mixed in with the Mallorca supporters? Didn't cause any trouble, but how could that possibly happen? And who knows the answer. I've actually seen when we go to Son Moix that some opposition supporters are mixed with us, and that's because they live here, and maybe they come to Real Mallorca on a regular basis, or maybe they've got friends or family who've got season tickets, and they're desperate to get hold of them. And well, yeah, maybe they just shouldn't have put the red and white striped shirts on the day. So overall, I think we've just got to put that behind us and think of it as a really good experience, getting to a cup final, and well, it's encouraged a lot more support perhaps for the club. We've got a really big match on Saturday, and I'm guessing the Son Moix will be sold out, and they'll be cheering on Real Mallorca. But the really big match, it's against Real Madrid, so it's going to be a tough match. But hey, anything's possible. We've beaten Real Madrid many times before. I've seen them beat Real Madrid, and so that could happen on Saturday. It's 6:30 our time, and Anita and I will be there cheering the team along as our socios of Real Mallorca season ticket holders. So yeah, so that's the football news, and it's really more important that we win the league, or not win the league, but actually stay in La Liga, rather than being sent down to a lower league. We're looking fairly safe, but anything can happen in football. So hopefully we won't lose on Saturday, and we've got some more important matches coming up over the next few weeks. Anyway, let's just see what's happening with the family. Well, the children have disappeared into the park, and Anita, Adam and his family are there starting the picnic. So this is the park, and it's quite big, so there's plenty for the children to play on. But the park itself, this is the Park of Sa Riera, and it's a big park. And in the past we've managed to sit out there on the terrace, and they've opened those doors and there's a cafe. Not sure why that's not open, or whether it might open at some point. But I'll have to come again and find out, I suppose, some other time. Lots of things in this park though. It's really nice. It's been very well looked after. And well, I've just come across an area which is called an area of relaxation, and it's a sensorial area, so we've got different senses that are going to be invoked here. And I suppose the lavender is the first of the nice smell of the lavender. Lovely smell, and lots of bees in and amongst this, which is really good for the wild animals, good for the bees. And we've got some other plants here as well. And there's another sense, the sound of the running water. It's nice, I do like that. This has another effect in the summer as well. Running water like this helps to cool the air a little bit around it, and the water evaporates. You can see the park extends onward and upward over there. And we've got some more plants here. And lots of nice sitting area. It's a park where people come to walk. It's a park obviously where the children come to play. It's a park where people come to do exercises as well. Oh, I just noticed there's some chimes over there. I suppose that's another sound thing, the senses. Nicely looked after park. Here's something else for the senses. This is the sense of touch. So you can come along here and try the different textures as you go along. I think that's really good. I've left the children and the family just at the back, just so I can show you a little bit more of this park. And it's Park de la Riera. I guess the Riera, the river, is down below. It's a little map. So this is all the area where the children are playing. And down here, that's the valley where I suppose the river would be, if there was a river. And there's another path along there. Let's walk along. You can see the size of the place. This is a really big area. The other important aspect of this is over on the other side of the road there, on the side of that bridge, up and across, because that used to be the home of Real Mallorca. So before the team played in the Sant Moix stadium, they played at a stadium called Lewis Sitjar, and the Lewis Sitjar stadium used to be just across this road over there. It's not there anymore, or at least not any significant remains. There's a wall which indicates that it's still got the name Lewis Sitjar on it. The actual pitch is, at least when we were there, was still there, but hardly recognisable. And trees and bushes are growing on it now. And it was left in a pretty sad state. Well, it was owned by, like many things here, a group of people, and it became quite difficult to persuade them all to sell up. I think they've pretty close got to the last of them now. And the idea now is to have some new plans for that area over there. So we'll see. There are suggestions that they just join it onto this park, which would be really cool. Make it even bigger, or add some new things to the park that are not already here. And a shopping centre was suggested. In the end, I think once they've got them a whole piece of land, then they'll decide then what they're going to do with it and publish an idea. Like in many places, there's adult exercise machines, so here's some. I really should have a go at some of these. This is a cycle machine. There's lots of them all the way down here. We've got some adults on as well who are actually using them, which is really good. And then I was going to tell you something about this because I thought there was a plaque here that I could read, but it's only in Braille. I don't actually read Braille, and that's a very typical molino, a typical windmill that you used to find in Majorca. And they used to pay, the council used to pay the landowners to keep them in good condition, paint them and make them look cool. That money must have dried up, and so many of them on the plains of Majorca have now fallen into disrepair, and well, they certainly don't work, and they certainly don't look very good anymore. However, a team up in the north of the island have said, well, why don't we actually get them to work again? And instead of the use that they used to be put for, which was to pump water out of the ground so that the farms could have water for irrigation, so instead of doing that, they would use them to generate electricity, so turn them into pretty wind turbines. And I think that's a fantastic idea. It looks pretty. It might not be the most efficient way of doing it, but it's making use of an old building. It's making something that's looking quite pretty, and probably much prettier than the modern wind turbines that we see with 100 metre sails, masts, or blades that go round. So yeah, so what a good idea. So that's where, somewhere over all of that lot, can't really make it out anymore, but that's where the Louis Sitjar Stadium was, somewhere over there. And I used to go there occasionally. In fact, I've seen them play Chelsea there, I seem to remember. I've seen watch them play Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. And this is obviously 25, 30 years ago or more, I can't remember. So this is the park going on down there. And then you've got areas where there's basketball courts and paddle courts, those sorts of things. So really nice park. It does get locked up in the evenings, so you can't come here at any time of the day. This area, which isn't actually in use at the moment, I'm going to walk over to it. It looks really quite strange to see. It's like almost looks like a concrete area, but so what's the point of this? Well, this is great fun for the children in the summer when it's really hot. These things here are fountains, and there's lots of them. So these rows and rows of fountains here, and the water comes shooting up, and the children have great time running in and out and getting wet and getting splashed, and that's the whole idea of it. And again, as I said before, this evaporation of the water cools the air around it, so it actually has this cooling effect. I think before they think about switching it back up on, they probably need to clear the drain. So this area all the way down here is the drain, and it's absolutely full of leaves and things, so all of that will need to be cleaned out before it starts to be used. But that probably won't come on until probably the end of June, or certainly the middle of June, when the schools start to finish here. The schools finish usually about the third week of June, maybe into the last week of June, and children will be on their school summer vacation right through to actually till September, usually the second week in September. So there's even different pieces of artwork here. Quite like that. And sadly, even the graffiti people get down here. Some major work going on across the way with really big rocks. So they're doing what looks like a dry stone wall, but with huge boulders that look as though they're over half a metre across. That's some construction. Just heading back to the park with the castle. Lots of beautiful trees here, all in flower now, and they provide the lovely shade. Just look at those beautiful flowers. Really are pretty, aren't they? Well, I'm getting a bit thirsty. I think I better need another glass of water, so I'll head back and I won't video as I go past the children, and I'll speak to you a little bit later. It's a lovely park with lots of seating. I've just been to fill my water bottle up. There's fountains for drinking water. The only thing is, if you notice where the seats are, none of them are in the shade. And even though it's only April, it's a little bit hot today, and it'd be quite nice to sit in the shade, and they're not. They're directly in the sun. And that goes for the benches here by the park where the children are. All of the benches, in fact there are 2 people sitting there, but not many people are going to sit on these benches because there's no shade, and so it's really quite hot sitting on them. If you want to sit in the shade, you've got to sit on the grass under the trees. Well, I can't believe it really, but it's only the 7th of April 2024 and it's too hot to stay in the park. It really is very warm. We're going to find somewhere a little bit cooler. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.